gotta tell you, if I had to exchange places with somebody in life, I'd have to consider Mick, you know, and his style over the years.
Okay, but who are you hanging with back then? Come on.
Tom Jones was
Tom Jones, all right.
But Muhammad Ali was one of my favorite. Now you had that Muhammad I followed since his first bout with Sonny Liston, and when I had a place opening on 79th Street Causeway in Miami, walked into the place and there's just some media guys here, and sitting in the back of the room by himself was Muhammad. And I looked, and our eyes met, and he broke out with that grin of his. And man, I said, excuse me, fellas. I went back and sat down with him. And, what are you doing, man? I just wanted to see what's going on with you, Joe. Just, you know, he just said that. It was so great. He's one of my favorite people of all time, or all of us, I guess.
But you're really two people that transcended your sport. I mean, Muhammad Ali for his own reasons, and you doing what you did with the Jets. Now, there's no way you can sit out here with Joe Namath and not play the pantyhose commercial. and before we roll this, do you cringe when you see it? Do you laugh when you see it?
I learned to appreciate it. Let me put it that way. I really felt awkward.
Did you hate it at some point?
Yes, I did when I first saw it. I didn't realize the guys that put it together were brilliant.
I mean, you're a big, tough, strong athlete.
But I have nice legs.
If you don't believe him, watch.
This commercial will prove to the women of America that Beauty Miss Pantyhose can make any legs look like $1 million.
Now, I don't wear pantyhose, but if Beauty Mist can make my legs look good, imagine what they'll do for yours.
Somehow, everything looks better through Beauty Mist.
Especially your leg.
I mean, that's awesome. That might be the best sports ad ever.
The product was great. But that's the only time I wore them.
Over the next 8 seasons, you're dealing with injury in and out. Remember, I mean, the team doctor said it'll give you 4 years at best on that knee. Can you put into words what it was like over that next 8-year stretch and how hard it was to climb onto that field?
Oh, yeah. It was hard. I mean, things happen to you. With, again, mentioned the navicular bones, torn ligaments in the shoulder, damaged nerve where you lose feeling in your foot for 4 years. It's just numb. All that was tough, but it wasn't life-threatening. None of them were life-threatening. That was the thing, the other thing. Always I knew and believed things could be worse. Things can be worse for us. And we can all be brought to our knees. I mentioned that, you know. So what I was going through, you know what? I just had to deal with it.
You know, in 1977, you end up out here with the Rams, and it ends shortly thereafter. How hard was it for you to walk away from the playing aspect?
Not hard at all, because I couldn't play.
You knew you were done. The gauge was on empty.
I played my last 4 years of professional football without being able to straighten this leg out and run. I just couldn't play anymore. And I knew I didn't belong anymore. So it's time comes. You know, as an athlete, you're going to stop playing and performing sometime. And I mean, maybe I should have before that.
To look back and think that this kid who told his dad that he was too nervous to play, and his dad said, well, then go take your uniform back, you need confidence, would end up in the NFL Hall of Fame in 1985. What was that stamp like for you?
It's a huge honor. It's as high honor as, depends on the individual. If someone were to say, you know, would you take a championship or, you know, the Hall of Fame, there are those of us and many other guys that say a championship first. I mean, because if we didn't win that championship, we wouldn't have got to that next level, of course, or the level of recognition. And again, it's a team sport, so you're recognized individually for having done well in a team sport. So you know darn well if it wasn't for your guys that you were working with, man, you know that you wouldn't be there in the first place.
You won the one championship, but I know you're still on the short list when you talk to real football people and you say you had to win one game. One game you have to win. Who do you want at quarterback? And you're still on that list. I feel like you would put yourself on that list because of the confidence and because you would bet on yourself and those around you to get it done.
Well, there was a time, that I felt that I could outplay anybody. I felt like that I was the best at my position. There was a time that I said that, not bragging, but being asked directly what I thought about my ability as a quarterback. I felt good. I was quick. I was efficient. I knew how to call a game, and I just felt that confident about my abilities to play. I wasn't able to run the way I'd like to run, but hey, maybe if I ran more, I wouldn't have lasted as long as I did or wouldn't even got the chance to compete in a championship game. I don't know, but there was a time I felt like I could play as well as anybody and better than all of them at one time.
And finally, what's next for you and what you're doing with regard to head trauma and how you're trying to give back?
I didn't know anything about brain injuries, and then we started to hear about in sports, and I mentioned Dave Dorison early on, then Junior Seau, and guys that have suffered. A teammate of mine coached at our football camp every year, and he shared with myself and a couple of my teammates what he was going through from concussions. And I got to thinking about myself and, you know, getting hit and knowing I had some concussions. So I went and reached out to find out about myself. I took some tests, the cognitive tests. I took brain scans, and we saw where cells weren't working in my brain. They stopped getting a blood flow, and I began a process of hyperbaric oxygen treatment. And the FDA approved what happened to me with my brain and how it cleared up and everything. And they said, this is fine, but we want to see another 100 studies. We're trying to prove that there's a way to help, a process to help heal the brain once it's bruised and these cells stop getting blood flow. We can change the process.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
I think it's great.
It is.
Good for you. That's, we end this interview with fun questions. I hope you find them
and
fun.
And if you have the answer, put your hand up.
No. You're the man in the hot seat. Would you rather go without the internet for a year or without your car?
You asking me?
Yeah. Who the hell else you think I'm asking?
You didn't tell me that this was going to be a part.
Would you rather go without the internet?
You don't have to repeat it. I would rather go without the internet for a year. I need my car.
Would you rather have one life that lasts 1,000 years or 10 lives that are 100 years each?
Not having experienced either, I don't know that I'm happy with this one.
Here's the last question. What makes a great quarterback?
You got to have some gifts. God-given gifts, genes, somehow. You can improve your speed, but you're just not born, I don't know, fast. A lot of things make a great quarterback. And again, it's usually great, that word. You got to have a team to be great.
Well, I have had the pleasure of sitting across from one of the all-time greats, one of the all-time great people, one of the all-time great quarterbacks, a Hall of Famer, Joe Namath.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Joe. This is very nice. Thank you.